24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anytime you want it. Online and on demand. VerKRadio.com. The power of women.
Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation with Margo Lovett. Heard on VerKRadio.com and worldwide on iHeartRadio. Women reinvented to become entrepreneurs, authors, speakers. Their second act is full of courage, full of how-tos, and inspiration. Now, let's get into the show. Here's your host, Margo Lovett.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Well, you know, I'm always excited about each and every episode, but today, oh my goodness, I am here with the fabulous and one and only Pam Perry. Yes, let me repeat that. Pam Perry. She is an award-winning communications professional. She's always been called by the Publishers Weekly a PR guru, and that she definitely is. Featured in major publications on more than 100 radio and TV programs. So how are you in PR and you haven't been featured that many times? It is impossible. Pam Perry knows her stuff. She has over 20 years career expertise in marketing, public relations, journalism, and most of that coming out of Detroit. So here at Her Business, you know, that's what we talk about, reinventing ourselves to become authors, speakers, entrepreneur. So we really have the triple threat right here in Pam Perry. So let me say, welcome, Pam, and I so appreciate you addressing the audience today. How are you today?
Oh, thank you, Margo. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing excellent.
Well, this lady is, let me tell you, I can still brag on her because there's so much to say. She is the sister podcaster. The magazine Speakers is, if you're getting into the speaking industry, you really have to subscribe to Speakers magazine. Pam is an author. So without further ado, and I know that I don't have to sell you on anybody, and I don't have to ask who is Pam Perry. We are just going to jump right in, and I want to ask you, for the woman who's coming out of corporate, and she's written her book, beginning her entrepreneurial journey. When does she know that she needs to get in contact with Pam Perry PR? And what is Pam Perry PR all about?
Oh, my goodness. Well, if she's coming out of corporate and she has she's going to be paid for not necessarily what she does now. She's going to get paid for what she knows. So depending on how long she's been in corporate, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, there's some things that she knows just generally outside of what she was paid to do at work. So one of the things that she wants to do is package what she knows and actually sell that. So it's like a replica model. So when does she contact someone like me? Probably, I always tell people at least 6 months before your book is done. And so what I want someone to do if they're in corporate is to lay out the outline of the book. And they can do that within 30 days. Basically, they can't write the book in 30, but at least lay out the outline and then really begin testing that and then writing the marketing plan before the book. So someone like me will help them write the marketing plan, really figure out in terms of how to position themselves in the market, how to really figure out what it is that they need to do, whether they need to build a website, whether they need to start getting on social media, all of those things. So it really depends too, like their corporate job, like how they can kind of moonlight on the side until they leave. But really the main thing is to write the book, write the outline, start building the platform, understand your target audience, knowing what it is that you want to write the book about, not necessarily what you can do, but what you know. And if you, like I said, if you've been in any career for at least 10 years, there's certain things that you know that have made you excellent in that career. And so you need to outline those steps or processes or blueprint or formula, whatever it is, so that you can actually then sell that. That is your thing. And then at that point, you would come to me, we would put together your marketing plan, whether we're going to really do a series of webinars, whether we're going to do reports, white papers, whether we're going to do blogs, whether you're going to guest blog, whether you're going to, I mean, there's a lot, but one of the main things is to really get focused on what it is that you do, not necessarily what it is that and not necessarily what you do on your job. So at least 6 months before you're leaving, or if you've already left your job and you're at this point where it's never too late to get a coach. And that's what I help people. I'm a PR coach. I help people with publicity, positioning, publishing, partnering, and building their platform. But getting clarity is numero uno. Number one, you got to get the clarity. So you got to, my Spanish is not that good. So you got to get the clarity. So that's one of the things that you do, because when you go out here, you've got to make offers. You've got to be clear on what it is you're offering and to whom.
Oh, wow. When you were speaking, that is the first thing that came to my mind, because when I did some research, because of who you are and your track record, you say Pam Perry PR works hard to help her clients brand and get paid like a superstar.
Exactly.
So unless you have that clarity, none of that can happen.
Exactly.
And so many people say, hey, I yoked up with this person and that person, and they did not deliver. But Pam is she's already told us how the mindset, how you have to approach this thing. You have to approach being an author as a business deal. Is that correct, Pam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you have a book, it is your business. So if you have a book, it is your business. It's your brand. Your book is everything. So I really started out my career. I love authors. Just love. I love the personal development field. I love motivational. I love Christian books. So that was my main thing, because I really do believe books can change lives. So way before there were online courses and all this kind of stuff, books are my thing. So started out as a natural thing, because when I was growing up, most kids would be outside playing, and I would be next door in my pastor's house in his library, really pulling down all of his books, because he was studying for his PhD. And I was like, can I borrow this book? Can I borrow that book? And I just love books. And I remember reading a book a long time ago called I'm Okay, You're Okay. And that was probably about 12, 13 years old. And that concept was so different to me. It was a psychology book, but really it was in the field of personal development. And I didn't realize that I loved personal development. And my pastor obviously had a lot of Christian books. And so we had a lot of books that were written from different pastors, and way back in the day, before T.D. Jakes started publishing a lot of books. But I would read those books, and it would help me understand the Bible better, because the pastors were writing like a narrative on their opinion about the Bible, or they would just break it down a little bit more. And it helped me. And I thought, wow, if it helped me, then I really need to tell more people about this book that helped me, so it can help them. And naturally, that was my thing. But as I grew older, I really understood marketing more. I became like the director of the Salvation Army. I was director of PR at the African American Museum. And I just really understood marketing. I did marketing for like McDonald's and PR for different automotive companies. So what I realized is that the same principles work no matter what product. But the products that I like, we're working with authors, and authors tend to be speakers. So those people that have positive messages, people that are really wanting to change the world. So my business started in 2000, Ministry Marketing Solutions. Naturally, I wanted to work with those ministries to help them market. And so my first little quote unquote book was a little tips booklet called 115 PR Tips on How to Brand Your Ministry. It became an ebook. It's still on Amazon. But really, I went over the things that I knew. And really, Margo, I wrote this book. I took out a legal pad and I said, okay, what do ministries need to know in order to brand their ministry better? And I went over corporate ID, which now we call like the optics or the things that like the logos, and talked about colors. And then I went over things like websites and went over things like building your team. But I went like from A to Z of how to brand your ministry. And I realized that was my genius spot, because I didn't look up any research. I just knew from experience of working with major corporate brands like Ford and McDonald's and the Salvation Army, the things that smaller churches needed to know. And so when I sold like over 1,000 of those books. And one of the pastors that had this book, he says, you know what, this book, I only sold it for like $10. He said, this book right here is little, but it's powerful. He said, I could pay thousands of dollars for this information you put in this book because this advice is so important. He says, that's when I realized that I had something that I can really consult and really help people that I'm called to really serve. I really, really felt called to that whole African-American Christian market. That's my thing. And out of that, you know, I started working with clients like T.D. Jakes and all of the major publishing houses, Christian publishing houses, and they hired me to really work with their African-American Christian authors. So over time, African-American Christian authors became speakers, and that's how Speakers Magazine was born, because they needed more light, they needed more shine. And I've never changed really, like the mission of my company has always stayed the same. Ministry Marketing Solutions is really there to help people market the message. And whatever their message is, it's definitely, for me, it's positive. So if you don't have a positive message or a message that's like what I feel is life-changing, then I'm not for you. But if you have a message that is birthed out of something that you know is a burning desire that can change the world, I'm your girl. That's me, because I'm really that person. Now, if you're a dentist, I can definitely help you in terms of marketing and PR, but would I be passionate? No. If you are some kind of other entrepreneur, I can help you. And I've done that. I've done that, and I can do it. But I like using the principles that I know and the experience and the background and the context that I have to help authors and speakers who are trying to change the world. That's really what I'm called to do.
You have tapped into your genius. And I want people to hear the power, the commitment, the confidence. This is what you get when you tap into your genius and you hunker down there. This is the sweet spot where you change the world. So this is very, very, very exciting. I was going to ask you about how is it that you found your ground and you planted yourself there, and you do it unapologetically, and you're very, very effective, because the people that have worked with you, they have been featured on Oprah and all CNN, all of the big the major outlets. Yourself creating Speaker Magazine. How do I phrase this? With what's going on in the world, and everybody is offering PR services, everybody is your girl or your man. How does a person just starting out, how do they push past all of the conversation, all of the chatter, and really get to the heart of who they should work with? I think everybody should work with you, but I know there's some people who may want still bounce some things around. How do they get to the heart of who they should work with? Who's legit and who's not legit?
It really just comes down to any entrepreneur. It's a scary thing. And so when they have to part with any money or figure out who to hire, what vendor, what contractor, it's always a head thing and a heart thing. So I always tell people, I said, okay, in your head, you can look at it, the pros and cons and this and that, and look at their contract, how much it costs, what you can afford, whatever. But your heart says that this person is for you, and you know you are to be with them. And you just know from your heart. I've had a lot of coaches, and I had a lot of mentors. One of my mentors was George Fraser. These are the people that when I wrote my book, Synergy Energy, that came forward and really helped me. George Fraser was a mentor of mine, and whatever he needed, I was there for him. I provided pro bono PR, marketing. That was because what he gave me was really, really valuable, and what I gave him, he respected as well. Dr. Marilyn French Hubbard, she wrote a book called Sisters Are Cashing In, How Every Woman Can Make Her Financial Dreams Come True. Again, she was a mentor of mine. She's a person that I respect and admire. Whatever she said she needed, I was there. I would give it to her. If I needed to make an introduction, whatever. Dr. Teresa Harrison of Gospel Today magazine, I was a columnist for her magazine. I helped her with her marketing, PR, booking her for different speaking engagements. Dr. Glenn Plummer, I was his producer for his Christian television network. Angelo Henderson has gone on and passed, but he basically was a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, wrote for the Wall Street Journal. He was a pastor, motivational speaker. I mean, whenever I was on his radio show every single Friday, we did Facebook Fridays. We would talk about things like that. I really miss Angelo. But one of the things is that he called me what people still call me now is like the PR guru. He would say, she's the PR guru. And I'm like, Angelo, guru sounds old. He says, no. He said, you are the publicity how-to guru. And so because he was a pastor as well as a journalist, we just vibed. We always vibed. He was in NABJ. I founded an organization called Blacks in Advertising, Radio, and Television. And we just worked together for years and years. I met him actually when I was at the Free Press, and he was at the News, and we vibed then. There's people that definitely are in my world. My business coach, my first business coach was Andrew Morrison. Mm-hmm. And he was the type of coach that got in my face. And how I picked him was the fact that I listened to a lot of his conversations. This is before podcast, but I would get on a lot of his teleconferences and I would listen to him. And I just said, he just feels good with me. I just trusted my instincts, and I work with people that I know have my interests at heart, that I know that their values align with my values. So a lot of times I'm a type of person, I make a decision quickly. I don't really overthink things. I pretty much trust my gut. I trust my intuition. I trust the Holy Spirit. And if I trust the Holy Spirit, then I know that it's going to be right on. So I don't take a lot of time. Have I made some wrong choices in terms of picking people? Yeah, but you just fail forward, correct it and move on. It's just part of life. Everything is not going to be perfect. I just think everything needs to move forward, and change is inevitable. So I really do decide, okay, this is a person I'm going to work with. I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it's not going to be the end of the world. We'll just find someone else. So it's not that deep to me, but I know that a lot of times when you go in with the expectation that it's going to work out, it usually does. It works out. That's my model. It'll work out. And it does. And I've been in business since 2000, and it has worked out. I've had some situations where they didn't work out, and it's a lesson learned. And it's a lesson I can teach other people that this is what you look for.
Oh my, I'm sitting here waving my hand because I go with your gut. I so know that we are having the conversation today because of my mentor, Brother Bedford, who is from Detroit, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And I went with my gut. It's going on the 3rd year now. And the gentleman, when I dropped my book, he flew here to Southern California to be at my book signing. And he has been a gem, a dear. So, I'm just waving my hand between Brother Bedford and the Holy Spirit. Oh, yes, it does work out. So you love the Lord, and I love that about you.
Yes, that is my superpower. Yes. Everybody said, "What's your superpower? What's your secret?" Jesus. That's it. Sauce. I mean, it sounds simple, but so many times people look for crystals, they look for this or that, or, I was like, you know what? It worked for grandmama. It worked for mama. It worked for me. It's been there for 2,000 years. Why am I trying to find and recreate the wheel? That is definitely something that people have to learn on their own personal relationship with the Lord. And I think books help. Listening to other people helps. Going to church. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. There's going to be a time where you're going to be in a dark place, and maybe the Lord will lead you to read a book by T.D. Jakes, or maybe the Lord will lead you to a book by Dr. Miles Monroe, or the Lord will lead you to a book, and you will then become enlightened and say, wow, oh my God, I miss Dr. Miles Monroe, but his books, if you don't understand the Lord and his power, after reading some of Dr. Miles Monroe's book, I think you're just a hardhead, because he just enlightens. He talks about purpose in the book of Genesis so much. It's like, wow, it creates a hunger that you want to know more. And then it just really enlightens you to where you need to be. And I just love that. I just listen to his videos now too on YouTube. It's like, wow, his stuff never gets old. And I mean, people can find spiritual truth in anything, but I just really think that when I don't try to challenge people, I don't do apologetics or anything. I said, but just look at the source. It's like, well, I like this and that. I said, but the source, who created that? Well, I like who created that. And so when it comes back to it, God created everything. Yes. So why are you trying to recreate something that the creator already was here before anything? So yeah, that's just my opinion.
Mine too, Pam Perry. Mine also, really and truly. I listen to what you're saying and I wave my hands in total agreement concerning mentorship. So will you tell the audience something about your mentoring program? Because when we opened up, you spoke on the things that you really need to have in order so that you can move and be successful with your PR program. So will you talk to us a little bit about your mentoring program? Is it available now or is it seasonal? Or how does that work?
No, I have a program that basically is PamPerryMentoring.com. And basically it is all of the materials that I have acquired over the years, all the contacts, all the templates, all of the worksheets, everything that I know, just like I wrote my booklet, everything that I know that a person needs to succeed, I put it in one program. So if someone comes to me, how do I pitch the television station? There's a pitch sheet in there. How do I find the media? There's information on how to do that. There's how do I know when to advertise it? So, I mean, there's whatever questions I've had over my 20-year career, I have created little bitty worksheets or ebooks or PDFs for people to have. And it's all in there. And so that's in the Pam Perry Mentoring Program. That's $197 a month. And people have access to everything. There's videos in there, there's teleconference, and then there's a Facebook group as well, where I go in and I pop in and I do live videos. Because sometimes you may read something, it's like, I don't really get exactly what is a podcast. How do I set it up? And they have that question, and I'll go into the Facebook group and I'll say, I'll answer it live for them. It's like, this is what you need. What's holding you back? What's keeping you stuck so that we can move forward? Because I don't want people to stay stuck. And so I want people to learn how to, market their book, learn how to get speaking gigs, set up a blog. I just got another message not too long ago. It's like, how do I set up a blog? Which is the format to use for the blog? And what should I put on it? So now I'll go on Facebook, go into the group, even though there's a lot of information in the mentoring program. There's teleseminars in there, there's transcripts in there, there's reports in there, there's workbooks, there's audios, there's articles, but sometimes they just need to ask a question, like it's personally for them. So that's one program I have, is the Pam Perry Mentoring Program. And it's self-paced. You go at it at your own pace so you can find out anything that you need. And then I also have the Branding Accelerator Program, which actually is a live program where I'm actually with you for 12 weeks.
Wow. And
there we actually go over really PR more in depth. We go over publishing more in depth, and we have guest speakers that come in as well. So I may have a award-winning journalist come in, and I may have a producer come in. And then the people in the class, they actually pitch their ideas to the producers, to the reporters, and they get real-time feedback. And so that's really the main thing that I sell, that is a live program. I only do it twice a year, so the next one's not until April, but it's the brandingacceleratorprogram.com. And that was created from the standpoint, it's like people would want this information, but they didn't know how to really structure it. So I really take them through a series of steps of, like, obviously, like we talked about, Margo, the first step is clarity. So everybody, I would ask them to really tell me to clarify their brand. What is their purpose? Why do they want to master the message? What is their message that they're telling the media? And we spend a whole week on that. Then the second week is like the brand elements, things that you need in order to show the media that you're ready. You need a website. What's involved in the website? You need a one sheet. You need a logo. You need, a photo shoot. Then the next week we talk about writing, and then we talk about bios. Oh my God, we spend a lot of time on writing the right bio. How to write a blog, how to guest blog. We do all of that. Then we talk about radio and podcasting, how to be a guest on the show, how to pitch yourself to be a guest, and how to start a podcast. We talk about TV, and so we go through it step by step every week. And every week there's little worksheets that go with it as well. but it really ends up all the way down to the very end of like really wrapping it up, pulling together a content calendar and a PR pitching schedule, because the whole point of it so they can get media. So then we give them a lot of tools and tips, and then they have access to any of the experts that have come on, any of them at any time. Someone who puts together their sizzle reel, whether they want to be a speaker. So the person that we use there, Candace Haynes, and we'll say, okay, we'll put together your speaking reel. And because they're part of the program, they get what I call like the brand accelerator rate, which is really discounted a lot because they've been part of the program. So I really, really enjoyed it. It's like everything it's like a school. It's like a school because I show them how to find contacts, and I show them real time, like little secrets and things that they can do. And just seeing them, actually, I had one client that actually, got onto a blog and they had like over 1 million views. I mean, she was so ecstatic. And then I have another person that did like a ribbon cutting for her business, and then it ended up in the newspaper. I mean, it's just like really exciting because you see them really taking action of what they're learning, and it's working. It's like, okay, it's working. I was like, yeah, all you have to do is like get in the program and work it. I mean, it's like, that's what it does. But if they don't take action, it ain't gonna work. I mean, it's, you gotta work it. So when I see them like, I got a speaking gig, or, someone is now, asked me to be on their television show, or now I have a regular TV series. I mean, that's exciting. So I see that happening. And, I run this program, for twice a year for as long. And I change it, just to, make sure that I get the right experts in there. It's different experts each time. So I'll run it for a long time. I really, really, really see the value of people really getting their money's worth out of this program. It's like everything. It's like everything, because they have me, which is part of the secret sauce, and they have the information and the guest experts, which is part of the secret sauce. So I really, that's like my favorite program. The mentoring program is good too. The mentoring program is good. That's self-paced. That I'm not in it as much. Like I said, I'm there when you need me. But the other one is more like a university. So you have a syllabus and you have homework.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're either going to do it, it's as they say, you is or you isn't. So if you is, go on with the accelerated program and handle your business. So Pam Perry, you are a leader. You are indeed a trailblazer. I read an article over at Mogul Moxie Maven. And
I love her. Yeah,
it was so wonderful. And for those of you who are not up on Moxie, it is a force. It means definition, force of character and nerve. Now, when we hear Pam Perry speak, she is a force of character, and this lady has a lot of nerve. So I saw a quote, and let me read this quote, and you just really, really touched me, because so many of us are fearful. We go through that imposter syndrome, the yada, 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 the chatter, chatter, chatter. But this is what Pam says. I was never afraid of ambition, which to me means to have a goal so big, people will not believe you. I've always been a trailblazer, and I have never let fear of failure hold me back.
Nope, never. I mean, there will be other things that will hold me back, but never fear of failure, because I always know that it wouldn't kill me. My whole thing, in order to get over anything, I would always say, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is you're going to die. And I know by making this decision, I'm not going to die. So I'll get over it. And if you're alive, like, Les Brown always says, if you can look up, you can get up. So I was like, hey, I'm down for it. Let's give it a shot, because I'm not going to be afraid. And the worst thing that I think can happen for anyone is having regret. That's the worst. I think having regret is really, really thinking that I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I never want that to be me. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. It's just something I'm just wired that way. But regret is something I'd rather have failure than regret. But to regret something you didn't do, no.
I'm finding that so many women coming out of corporate, they really, what if you push them past that fear, they really are running towards, I'm going to also. So what you are saying is very, very powerful. I'm looking at the clock and I'm respecting your time. You are such a wealth of information. Will you tell the audience how they can get in contact with you? I want people to subscribe to Speaker Magazine, get in class. You better, wrap yourself up with Pam Perry, because there shoulda, woulda, coulda. If we analyze and overanalyze and handle too long, we will never do what we're supposed to do. And when we do leave corporate, we're not going to be prepared. We're going to stumble over quarters because we think that we can't afford to do this and we can't afford to do that. I'm telling you, get yourself a mentor. Get into the mentoring program. Get into the accelerator program. As Pam Perry said, package it and just do the doggone thing. Mm-hmm. The world was waiting for Pam, and Pam, she heard the call. She picked up the phone, and here we are today. She has helped thousands of people. So now it's your turn. What are you going to do? So Pam, I just had to get on that soapbox because I feel very strongly. I know what shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's a killer. And especially for Black women, we have to take our stand. We have a voice. Now is our time. Let's do the doggone thing. Let's change the world. Let's make history. And then when we go to heaven, we have no regrets. So I'm just feeling that very strongly. Go ahead, madam. Go ahead.
Well, the best place to really get in touch with me and to find out all the places where I am online is go to PamPerryPR.com. If they go to PamPerryPR.com, they'll see my Instagram. They'll see where I am on Twitter. My blog I just put up yesterday talked about the 3 A's of how to market your ministry, business, and your book. That was up on there. I have podcasts up there. I have videos there. I love my blog. I've been blogging since like 2007, so I love my blog. So PamPerryPR.com is where they go, and they can find out everything. They can contact me about the Brand Accelerator program, about the mentoring program, about Speakers Magazine. They can go to speakersmagazine.net, and they can actually download it for free, or they can subscribe. So whichever one. But the business model of Speakers Magazine is that it is actually distributed out at influencer events. So it's at very, very high-end events. So that's where the magazine is actually circulated. But you can actually subscribe if you want to get a copy or download it. And you can print out all the pages from speakersmagazine.net. It's free for everyone. So I really, that's something that is going on 2 years old now.
Oh, wow. And it is fabulous. When I was in D.C. there and you were speaking, Cheryl Wood made sure that everybody got a copy. And that was my first introduction to the magazine. And it really is just, from cover to cover, it is so wonderful.
Oh, thank you. We work hard on it. Oh, my goodness. It's monthly.
Yeah. And wait a minute, months move and come and go real quick.
And February is a short month. So, oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Trailblazer, leader, sister podcaster, sister in the faith. Thank you so very much for your time. And audience, she's tells you where you can find her, where to meet her. Do that. Do not deliberate. So we're going to wrap it up. Another grand and exceptional episode here at Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. For more information about what's going on with this show, be sure to go over to my website, herbusinesshervoice.com. Sign up for the monthly newsletter because there's always something going on over there. And until next week, let me say bye-bye. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation with Margo Lovett. Since you like what you heard, go over to herbusinesshervoice.com to get a copy of her book. Subscribe to the show and receive updates, free products, and offers. Be sure to let family, friends, and colleagues know about the show. Margo returns next week with a brand new dialogue on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.
HurricaneRadio.com, certified #1 digital talk radio station in the world. The power of women.